All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
Man, big thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Someone asked me yesterday, by the way, do you have some kind of microphone on your shirt or something? No, I don't know. I guess I'm a fidgeter sometimes. I'll try to stop fidgeting. I don't know if today's T-shirt again will be approved by Nikki. If you watched yesterday's show and the day before, you get it. You know what I mean? I know she's watching. This was the shirt from the protective detail that we had for the past year, the DDPD detail. So shout out to all you guys and gals out there. Did an amazing job. I'm still alive. You helped me not get dead. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Folks, I got a big show for you today. First off, as always, quick guys, before we get that, a big thank you. We were trending number one on Spotify after only 3 shows yesterday. We don't even put a lot of video there. We only do audio there. And we were still trending number one on Spotify yesterday. A big, huge thank you to you all in the Bongino Army. I knew you guys weren't going anywhere. We were gone for a year serving the public. I deeply appreciate you guys coming back. The audience has just been unbelievable. It's really, I kid you not, far surpassed my expectations. And I want to tell you why you get this perceived negativity out there too towards people in the administration who are in there. And I'm going to tell you what's going on. I haven't really addressed this over the last 3 days. Obviously, there's been a lot to talk about. I want to get to that. And importantly, at the beginning of the show, we're going to get to understanding Donald Trump through the lens of signal versus noise. What do I mean by that? I'll play a Mr. Wonderful video, Kevin O'Leary, that'll explain exactly that. I promise after the first 10 minutes of the show, having seen it from both sides now, you guys are going to have a really deep understanding of who Donald Trump is, how he works, and why it's working, and working like it's never worked before. I promise. And it's probably something you haven't heard before. So stay tuned. First sponsor today, our good friends at Brick House Nutrition. You know about their awesome product, Field of Greens. Huge fan. I take it twice a day. Sometimes I miss my fruits and vegetables. But another product both me and Paula use is Lean. If you look at some of my old videos on Rumble from about 2 years ago or so, you'll notice I was a little bit rounder in the face, let's say. I had gotten a bit heavier. I like to lift, not so much heavy anymore, but lift. I wasn't really into that much kind of cardio and stuff. But as you get older, my joints were getting beat up. So Miles from Brick House Nutrition, who's unbelievable, and his crew over there, they said, hey, give this product a shot. It's called Lean. I tried it. I loved it. I lost like 28, 30 pounds or so. It was pretty amazing. I mean, you could obviously see it. Just look at the kind of before and after. It's there. It's right there. It wasn't a mystery either. It works this way. You know how those injections work? They help control blood sugar and shut down appetite so you eat less? Well, that's the mechanism. It's really no mystery. And that's what Lean was created to do. Replicate the benefits of weight loss injections without the actual injection. Lean was created by doctors to support healthy blood sugar and help reduce the spikes and crashes that drive nonstop snacking and cravings. Listen, man, it works. I don't mess around with this stuff. I took it, and the results speak for themselves. Lean goes a step further. Lean helps your body turn fat into energy, so you burn it instead of storing it. No prescriptions, no needles. How do you pick it up? You pick it up at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use promo code Dan and get 20% off. That's brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use promo code Dan. Product works. It's amazing. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. The product's not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. And it's not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Our next sponsor today is Car Shield. I use my car a lot, like a lot. Between here, the studio, family, visits, volleyball games with Amelia, weekend trips, Miami, back to Stewart. I'm on the road constantly, driving to Chuchi's place. I put a lot of miles on this. These guys get the joke. The wonderful Cuban bakery next door. And when you rely on that car, every strange noise or dashboard light instantly becomes stressful. One unexpected repair can set you back and derail your whole week's budget, your month's budget. That's why I'm a huge believer in Car Shield. Car Shield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, and rental car options at no extra cost. They work with ASE certified mechanics nationwide, so you're never scrambling to find someone trustworthy. Their plans are low cost, month to month, and they come with low deductibles, which means no massive hits to your wallet when something goes wrong. With 20 plus years of experience, over 20 million vehicles protected, a 96% customer review rating, and an A+ BBB rating, CarShield has earned its reputation. Make a decision your wallet will love with CarShield. Right now, CarShield is offering our listeners 20% off with the code Bongino at carshield.com. Go to carshield.com to lock in your 2026 protection today and never pay for expensive car repairs again. Go to carshield.com and use code Bongino for 20% off. All right, fellas, let's go. Someone also asked me, I listened to your viewer feedback. A lot of you send me emails. Some of you still have an email of mine from the old days. A couple of folks sent me some emails last night. Like, hey, you still doing the cold plunge in the morning? Hell yeah, I'm still doing it. 47 degrees, 3 minutes, drives me absolutely bananas. I fear going in every single day, but man, nothing wakes you up like that. Jump in that sucker, you get out, you're like a freaking polar bear after that. You're ready to go hunting. So, getting back to what I was talking about before, big thank you to everyone who has us trending. We were one of the top shows on Apple. We were one of the top shows on Spotify. We live stream exclusively here in Rumble, but the audio of the podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. So please go to Apple, go to Spotify, subscribe and follow the show there too. We would really deeply appreciate it. But we live stream exclusively here on Rumble, 10 a.m. to noon, and the video is always available here on Rumble all day, VOD. We call video on demand. If you want to watch it live, join the chat room. We have close to 20,000 people already in the chat. You know, we really appreciate you attending. Folks, I haven't been able to explain this for the last few days. A couple people came, you know what? I don't want to say to you dopey, dumb, worn out cliches like, Twitter, X, Twitter isn't real life. No, Twitter is real life. I mean, a lot of, not all of it, but every platform is bots, by the way. It's not exclusive to Twitter. Botting is a huge problem everywhere. Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. It's an issue with platforms. Okay. So I don't want to say it's all botting and not real life. Twitter is real life. There are real people on there with real opinions. But I want to be clear on something. I spent the last year of my life pretty much outside of the public eye doing your work over in Washington, D.C. We went out, Paul and I, occasionally, maybe twice a month. We went to a couple concerts and we went out to dinner, I don't know, like once a month or so when she would come back to Washington, D.C. Why am I telling you this? Because, folks, I mentioned the other day an organized network of people that is very committed to taking down the MAGA movement. And a lot of you were skeptical, not so much the Bongino army, you know what's going on, but others who just kind of rolled in over the last few days. And hopefully you're enjoying the show. Maybe not. Maybe you're just here to flame the comments. That's cool, too. Whatever, man. Do your thing. We just want you to show up. But I didn't explain who this organized movement is and why it's happening. They all have one goal. And I'm going to describe it in terms of 3 tranches of people. And once you see this, I promise you'll never unsee it. I've had a unique insight on it from the other side where I get to see some information that not all of you have. But I promise you it's very real. It's a lot of groups, but 3 who are powerful. And they use X and platforms to make you believe something's not real. The reason I brought up me going out and stuff with Paul is I would be out in the street and the things you think the public really cares about. Listen, this is really important. Justin, you paying attention? This is super important. The things you think the majority of people, I should say, I'm not saying nobody cares about, the majority of things people care about, I promise you they don't. I had not, in the year I was gone, not a single person came up to me and asked me about issues I promise you think if you see them on X are the number one issue du jour. Not one. Not a single person. Now, people are generally nice in person. I get it. There's a bias there. But I'm not kidding. Not a single person came up and said anything negative. So why do you see all this negativity and comments and on X and elsewhere? Yes, some of it's botting, but it's not all of it. There are 3 groups of people who want to see this MAGA coalition fail. The first, let's just go with the obvious ones. Liberals and the media. But they're the same thing. Liberals and the media just hate Republicans. The MAGA movement, folks, it doesn't matter. They hated Mitt Romney, who's not even barely a Republican. They hated George W. Bush. They hate Donald Trump. They hated Ronald Reagan. They just love liberals, socialists, collectivists, and communists. Anyone who's on their side is their enemy. Donald Trump is just the latest iteration of that. Liberals and the media, they are the same thing. They just hate us, so they'll attack guys like me, not just me, but anyone else in the space too. Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck. It doesn't matter. Anyone who tries to advance a Republican, conservative, MAGA, or conservatarian agenda, the liberals and the media hate, so they want to take you down. Now, there's another group of people out there. I've been calling them the doomers. These are people who, you may say, well, where did they come from? Why didn't we see them so much in the 45 administration? Trump won. Well, folks, in Trump 1, they knew Donald Trump was going to be Trump 2 at some point. That point just happened recently in the recent election, obviously. Had the 2020 scheme. However, they knew there was going to be Trump 2. No one wanted to go up against the Lion King. So did you notice you didn't see as much doomerism? You saw, as a matter of fact, very little. It was almost non-existent amongst what we call, I guess, the influencer class. So why are you seeing it now? Folks, once you see this, listen to me. I promise you will never unsee it. The doomers know Donald Trump is not running again. And they have a feeling that the MAGA movement is the Donald Trump movement, not the MAGA movement. Now, I agree and disagree with that. I agree that Donald Trump is a peerless figure in modern American, maybe in American history. I don't think that's up for dispute. There is no other Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was made, the mold was broken. God broke the mold. He is just a fascinating figure for a million different reasons, and he will not be replicated. The doomer class, I hope you're following me here, thinks that when Donald Trump is off the stage in 2028, that the MAGA movement is going to fall apart. So the doomers who pretend to be part of the MAGA movement really aren't. They sense a fracturing coming up, and they have their preferred candidate. So they think whoever's going to inherit the MAGA movement as is, passed down by Donald Trump through an endorsement or whatever, that it's all going to fracture, and they want to be there to clean up what they think is going to be the mess. So what the doomers do is, let's say some legacy figure from this administration, whether it's Vance or Rubio, whoever runs for, that may not be their guy. They may be looking at someone else. So what they can't have Vance and Rubio or others do is run on an agenda that was a success. Folks, you think I'm bullshitting you. I'm telling you, got another thing coming. I have seen it. I've been on the other side of it. It is well organized. That's the second group of people. They have the exact same goal as the libs and the media, tranche one of people, which is to destroy the MAGA movement. Now, the end goal of who they want in there is different. They want a liberal, a collectivist, Mamdani or AOC or whatever. But they want someone other than the MAGA person or the MAGA designee going forward. That's why you see this constant shitting on the administration at all times. The border, entries by illegal migrants are down to 0. It should be -5. There's always a complaint. Always a complaint. It's because they have a different person in mind. And they think when Donald Trump is off the scene, which he wasn't going to be in Trump 1, which he was, that's why you didn't see as much of this. They have to make sure they seed the battlefield so that no one can run on a record of success and say, hey, I'm Donald Trump's guy. Look what we did. You get it? Remember this conversation. Folks, bookmark this show. I don't care what you got to do. Send yourself an email with the link, save it, bookmark it on X, put it in your Rumble favorites somewhere. I promise you're going to see it. And all of this as the 2028 field for the presidency starts to materialize, all of a sudden, all the doomerism is going to make perfect sense. I'll bet you my right arm on it. I'm never wrong. Not on this stuff. Finally, there's a third class of people. The third class of people after October 7th went crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. I stand fully, completely, and strongly against anti-Semitic bullshit. I don't know how many times I got to tell you this. It's amazing how many people think it's like the current thing to say like they hate the Jews or something. Really? You believe that? You realize where that's led throughout human history, absent the immorality of it? Now, you may say, oh, gosh, Dan, I can't believe that that's actually happening. Really? I promise you, go look at the Twitter. If the botting that does happen, and again, it's not all botting. The botting that does happen is very well organized. It is totally synthetic. It is all anti-Jewish nonsense. Read the comments. It's from like I Hate the Jews 101 and stuff. Just look at it. You can see it. It's so clearly fake. But it's an organized movement of people, and it's not a very large group of people, who've learned to amplify social media to attack anyone in the administration or outside who doesn't go and attack the Jews. 100%. Look and just read the comments. Don't take my word for it. Just go and look. Go look. You'll see it. It's everywhere. They all have the same goal. It is to dismantle this movement, take it apart from the inside, cause disruption, pick up the pieces, and rebuild it into something far different than a movement that actually conserves liberty. They all have the same goal. Libs, the anti-Jew crowd, and the Doomers. The exact same goal. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Look at the people sending out the messages. Look at who they associate with. Just listen to it. Just read the comments. Read their hand. They don't even hide it. I think after this week, where we basically kicked ass and took names, we were a top live stream on our launch with a ridiculous 226,000 streamers. That was with a meltdown DDoS attack against Rumble trying to shut us up. 100,000 plus streamers every day. Number one trending show on podcasts. I'm not patting shit on the back. I'm just telling you, like, all this stuff you heard that was perceived as negative is bullshit. You either produce eyeballs and earlobes or you don't. And the Bongino army always shows up. Always. Because they know I'm not full of shit and I don't bullshit people. And I'm telling you the truth about the triumvirate of folks who want to take this administration down from the inside. I'm not going to let it happen. I'm not going to let it happen either because I believe in this president. And I think it's really important that you understand him and how he works and why he works the way he does. And I've had an interesting seat in there. And, listen, I want to be pretty clear on this too. The position I had, you're not in the Oval Office every single day. I was the deputy, not the principal. Cash should be in there, for things and items and national security issues and stuff like that. But we would be over there often enough in the House. And you deal with the administration. This is a no bullshit administration. He is almost pure signal, this guy, on the results end. He's learned to filter out the noise. What do I mean? I want you to watch this clip from a podcast Kevin O'Leary was on. You know him from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful. Great guy. And he's really good speaking about business and productivity and stuff. I actually have another clip of him coming up later in the show. But I want you to listen to him discuss working for Steve Jobs. And I think he mentions Elon Musk at the end too. But in terms of how successful leaders, business or elsewhere, learn to distinguish signal from the noise I was just talking about on X. It's really important if you're going to lead that you learn to filter those two out and not get distracted with the noise. Check this out.
Steve would say, fucking shut up and do what I say.
That's how he would talk to you.
100%. And here's what I learned. Signal to noise ratio. His vision of signal was the top 3 to 5 things you have to get done in the next 18 hours. Not your vision for the business next week or next month or next year, just the next 18 hours you're awake. You're going to get those 3 things or those 5 things done that you have deemed critical for your mission. They must get done today. Anything that stops you from doing that is the noise. This signal to noise ratio to be successful for Steve Jobs was 80-20. 80 signal, 20 noise. He was right. He was right. And the only other person that I've seen that has a higher ratio than that is Elon Musk. He has no noise. He does not deal with noise. He is 100% signal. 60 seconds of every minute, 60 minutes of every hour. The 18 hours he's awake, it's all signal. And look what he's achieved. And if you go back in history, you're going to find out that the geniuses of their time were close to 100% signal.
Folks, I could make a really, really strong case to you right now, based on personal experience, that he's describing Donald Trump too. I've never worked with Elon. I saw him at Dan Scavino's wedding. We spoke for, 30 seconds. I saw him once at a UFC. I don't know Elon very well. We've communicated briefly on X a couple times. I think he congratulated me when I got the job, which was very nice of him. I don't know, but I got to imagine what he's saying is true, given that Elon only runs he runs a couple $1 trillion companies or something like that. Justin's like, yeah, kind of a big deal. So I got to imagine that's actually true. I have no reason to believe otherwise. I can tell you from experience, he is describing Trump. You would never think that's true, given he has a very discursive speaking style. We get he jumps around a little bit because he has a lot in his mind. I get that. Everybody knows that about him. But when it comes to him in a room, and I've been there with him with just a limited group of people, he is all signal. He drowns out all this bullshit. Now, he understands better than anyone that there is an asymmetric warfare game going on and that PR is getting harder and harder every day. Public relations, everybody has to do it, especially people in government. Oh, PR, it's got a bad connotation. The answer is, my response to that is why? We work for the public. We should be able to relate to the public. He understands there's a problem and it's getting more difficult to solve. That's the democratization of information is a wonderful thing. I'm all for it. Listen, I've invested in free speech platforms my whole business life because I love them. Even people who hate me. I've invested in platforms that have given platforms to people who go out and shit on me all day. Great. You have the right to speak, brother. Knock yourself out. I have the right to respond. That's how free speech works. That's practicing, not preaching. However, the democratization of information creates real PR problems for people who have to respond to the public. You can go out. I'll give you just an example you can all relate to. You have Joey Bag of Donuts restaurant. Someone gets sick but had norovirus from 3 days ago. They go and eat in a restaurant and they attribute it to the food, but it had nothing to do with the food. They had a stomach virus called noro from a couple of days ago. They go on a Yelp or Google review. Joey Bag of Donuts restaurant got me sick. That's it. That's noise. That's noise because it's not true. It's not real signal. The problem is that lie travels around the globe before Joey Bag of Donuts even has a way to respond to it. It creates a real PR crisis within the government. I'm bringing that up because I'm going to play an audio video of Donald Trump in a little bit explaining exactly this. He understands that. He understands that despite a lot of the noise, I can't get distracted and I have a job to do. I understand that there's a lot of people who are out there doomering, a lot of people who have a malicious agenda against him, who are pretending to be part of it, using their influence to try to destroy. He gets that. And he keeps moving ahead. He has learned to filter out completely the noise and stick totally with the signal. The speed of information now is growing by the day. Information rockets around the globe before you even have a chance to respond. So, all right, Dan, well, how do you handle it? Having been inside there. The answer is you have to pick and choose your fights. That's it. You really do. If you'll notice and you go back and look at my Twitter handle, my official handle when I was inside, I responded to very few things. You got to pick your fights. Some of these lies you just have to let go because you can't respond to everything. That's the only way. But you're always in an asymmetric fight that if you don't use your megaphone selectively and loudly, you're just going to get buried right away. Oh, it was a total failure. No, nothing happened. Actually, 78 people were arrested. Oh, you should have had 79. Like I said, you didn't do anything. So your comments mean nothing. Donald Trump has learned this better than anyone. Here's more proof of this. Here's a guy who deals with him more often than anyone. Vice President Vance. This is J.D. Vance. He gave an interview to Megyn Kelly the other day, and J.D. Vance was talking about dealing with Donald Trump. And what he says in this clip is absolutely true. He is the exact same person. He's not a phony in person, and he's the exact same person in public he is behind closed doors. You don't believe me? Believe JD. He's in the room with him all the time. Check this out.
If Washington is an insincere place, I think you said that and said it well. He is like the polar opposite. He just says what's on his mind. Yeah. He doesn't care how anybody's going to react to it. What you see is what you get. And people always ask, well, what is he like in private? He is in private exactly like he is when he's in front of a camera. And I think that you're right. There are some members of the press who kind of like him for it, then some members of the press who don't. And then I think for most members of the press, it's a little bit of both, right? Like they admire the game, even if for some political reason they just can't admit that they actually like him, but most of them actually do.
I'm going to prove it to you with this next clip, that what Vice President Vance is saying is absolutely true. They do quietly respect him because they've never seen a politician like this that speaks in pure signal. All they do is speak in noise. Even some of our political icons on the Republican Party, let's be honest, learned to speak in a lot of noise and political bullshit. They did. And then when it comes to signal, they vote like shit. That is not Donald Trump. What he tells you in public, he's going to do in private. What he says to his team in private, he's going to do, he goes and does in public. And it's just stunning. These media people can't handle it. Very few of them will ever tell the truth about this. Except this guy, who, again, he's not my buddy or anything like that. I'm not highlighting him, not promoting anyone. He probably doesn't like me. I don't really care. I'm not about liking or this. I'm just about the truth. Here is Bill Maher and one of his conversations here talking about exactly this, what Vice President Vance just said. That, hey, these guys in the liberal media, they're so intimidated by him because he's one of the first politicians in modern American history to not bullshit people and just speak openly and candidly. Check this out.
As far as talking to him, what I found and what people found so abhorrent that I would report accurately is that you can talk to him and that he's very different.
He's a very charming guy.
Well, he listens.
Yeah.
It's not at all and now you can ask the question, why doesn't he do that when he's in public? I can't answer these questions. All I can tell you is that my assessment of him is that he's not the worst guy in the world, except when he's in a fight. Unfortunately, politics is all fighting. When he gets into a fight, then he's like a guy in a bar. He picks up whatever he has to kill you with it, and he just doesn't stop.
Yeah. Listen, you don't have to like the guy. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. I can't say that enough. It was on Joe Scarborough's show, by the way, on MS Now, NSNOW. All right, enough. MS Now. He's not wrong. You're going to toy with him. He is the FO guy. You're going to find out. Believe me, you're going to find out. And he doesn't care what party you're in. You start messing around, screwing around with what he believes is his America First MAGA agenda. Yeah, he's going to pick up a bottle and get into a bar fight with you. No doubt about it. But he absolutely... when you are talking to him behind closed doors, he will sit there at that desk in the Oval. I promise you. And he will just take it all in. I'm going to tell you, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, Mr. President. I'm pretty sure you would give me permission to say it. So all right, I'm just going to throw it out there. So we're in an Oval meeting with him. It's me, Cash, Pam, and Todd, and another guy. We were talking about a matter. And while we were addressing the matter, he's sitting there listening for 5 minutes or so as we lay out all the data and the information. A guy puts a computer on the screen, shows him some charts. He's looking at them. Go back to that one. Go back to this one. Very, very, you can see he's deliberating. He's trying to think about how to handle it. And just out of the blue, randomly, on my life, true story, one of the guys in the room, who I don't want to say who he was, but he's one of our guys, and he says to him, hey, and you know that guy, a guy I was just talking about, it's pretty smart, right? You know, the president remembered his SAT score? I'm not kidding. The guy had told the president, I don't know, 6 months ago, had mentioned that this guy had a really high SAT score. He remembered the SAT score. Can you, and it's like, by the way, this isn't some like huge high level guy either. He's probably briefed about, 100,000 people since that 6 months time frame had passed. He remembered the guy's SAT score. He goes, oh yeah, didn't he get like a 1510 SAT or whatever? And the guy looks at me. He's like, I can't believe he just remembered that. I'm like, I can't. I was giving him a tap on the knee. I'm like, I couldn't remember the damn SAT score. That happened. I was there. Don't tell me it didn't happen. The guy has an incredible ability to filter out noise. I've never seen anything like it. Folks, I'm nothing. I never got elected president. I try to be a signal, not noise guy. I'm very emotional too. I'm not going to, if Donald Trump is 90% signal, 10% noise, and Jobs was 80-20, I don't know what the percentage is. But I do try to be a spreadsheets guy who always keeps his lodestar straight directed ahead. And I always try to base myself on what in my life is a net present value of 1 right now. What is a +1 for me that I want to keep and add to, and what's a -1 I've got to surgically cut out of my life? And if that involves cutting people out in my audience who, this show is not for you because you want me to go out and say, I hate this group of people. I'm not, then you can just disappear. This show's never going to be for you. I don't do this show for the money. I'm a capitalist, but I've never done it for the money. I think you know that. It's all public stuff. I do it because I love it. And I am going to tell you the truth. And if you want the truth and you want to be guided by truth and you want a movement that's going to last because it's guided by truth, then you'll have a home here, I promise. And I'll always value you for that. I'm going to take a quick break here, and then I want to get back to tactics because tactics matter going forward too. We got midterms coming up, and ladies and gentlemen, these Alinsky rules the left uses, some of them are kind of like immoral scumbag type things, but some of them work. And like I just said, if it's a net present value of +1, I'll take it in and use it too. I'll show you what I mean in a second, how this movement collapses once you hold them to their own rules. A lot happened back in D.C., like gold jumping over 60% in the past year. Listen, I'll be straight with you, man. I'm feeling pretty good about buying gold from Birch Gold. I've been a big supporter of gold for a long time. Big supporter now. I'm really grateful they're back with me as a sponsor. Birch Gold, BIRCH. A lot of you know the story. Early on, I wasn't really about endorsing a gold company, and me and Paula talked about it. We invested in gold. We love gold. And she said, you know what? We're believers in gold, so let's do it. So I got to learn more about the need for diversification, talking with the Birch Gold guys. And as I started buying gold from Birch Gold, I became a huge believer. There's a freedom in diversification, and Birch Gold is the only gold company I choose to do business with. They have for many years now, BIRCH. I encourage you to learn for yourself, though. It's important. Just text my name, Dan, to the number 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on how to convert an eligible IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. That's right, own gold in a tax-sheltered account. Again, text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 and just see if owning gold is right for you. It's worth a shot. Birch Gold, BIRCH. Message and data rates may apply. Our next sponsor today, My Patriot Supply. Listen, you got to be prepared, folks. The last 3 days, I have been talking about threats that are there all the time. There's no need to panic if you're prepared. You got to prepare. There is no harm in being prepared. There's only harm in not being prepared, and you need stuff, and it isn't there. That's why I use My Patriot Supply. That's why when I came back, I said to Teresa and Jim, go get My Patriot Supply because I like products I actually use because I can talk about them from the heart. They've been family to us since the beginning, My Patriot Supply. They've been with us since the beginning. If you don't know them, you should. They're in the preparedness business, and they're number one in the world. Preparedness is not optional. You don't want the lights to go out and you have no food or anything because you'll get dead quick, and the number one rule of the show is don't get dead. If you don't have an emergency food supply, you're already behind the curve. Thankfully, My Patriot Supply is celebrating the return of the Bongino show with a $100 off their best-selling 3-month emergency food supply. This is the kit I recommend to everyone. It's got 2,000 calories per day of real, hearty meals that last up to 25 years. It ships fast and free. It'll keep you and your family alive. Every family should have, it says one, should have at least one. I think I've got like 15 right now. I have a lot more than that. Get yours right now at preparewithdan.com. That's preparewithdan.com. Listen, folks, you can read the news. You see tensions rising, emergencies. If you're not prepared for them, they're going to happen to you. The Bongino Army, get ready. Preparewithdan.com. Be prepared. Get your emergency food supply at preparewithdan.com. Thank you, My Patriot Supply. We appreciate it. So, folks, I'm a spreadsheets guy. All I care about are political tactics that win. I mean, obviously, they have to be moral and ethical. We're not going to hurt people and do stuff like that. That's obvious. It wouldn't be ridiculous. However, I'm not in the, the friend business either. I'm not. I love you all as friends. However, when it comes to politics and winning, I'm in the, you want a friend, get a freaking dog. There are no friends in politics and there are no friends in D.C. I say it all along. I said it to everyone. People call me all the time. They're getting jobs in D.C. Hey, what's it like? I said, I'm going to tell you right now. In D.C., you're either at the dinner table or you are on the menu. Period. You think you're going to go there to make friends? Brother, please don't take the job. There are no friends. It is a bare-knuckle business, start to finish, soup to nuts. That's why a guy like Donald Trump succeeds. You need like the Lion King in there. Tactics are either winners or losers. I see this explosion now of Mamdani types, and amazingly, this collectivism, communist, socialist ideology just never, ever seems to go away. Its success record of failure is 100%. Communism and collectivism and socialism have succeeded at failing 100% of the time, yet it keeps coming back. One of the few ways in this noise environment where you've got the pollution of ideas from a bunch of people pumping their bullshit all over social media. That's good. Throw your ideas out there. The only way to fight back is with more information, never censorship, never the option. But you got to fight back. And one of the best ways to fight back against this new surge in far left freakadoo ideology emerging in Seattle, New York City again, coming back, you're seeing it all over the place, is to use Saul Alinsky's rule number 4. It is one of the best ways to fight back against these raging left lunatics. And it's almost always a winner because socialists, libs, collectivists, and communists will never, ever live up to their own set of rules. Thank you. Look at that. I didn't even have to call for it. Justin's just like, I read your mind. Saul Alinsky was a far left agitator and organizer who was an unethical and moral zero, but his rules, some of them were not wrong. Here's rule number 4. Own it, work it, love it. Some of you will get that. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, make the enemy live up to its own book of rules. If the rule is that every letter gets a reply, send 30,000 letters. You can kill them with this because no one can possibly obey all of their own rules. Now, why does Alinsky's rule number 4 work better as a tactic against the people he loved, the collectivists and the commies and others, than it does against Republicans? Because Republicans and conservatives, good ones at least, are generally for more personal liberty and less rules and restrictions on your life. I'm not going to say zero, but less. Democrats and commies are all about rules and restrictions. Rent controls, price controls, controls. You can't do this, you can't do that. It's the freaking nanny state. Give us your money, give us your kids. You can't teach this, you got to teach that. This is a litany of rules that they don't live up to themselves. You got to send your kids to public schools. They say charter schools suck. Really? Why do you send your kid to a charter school? I didn't mean that rule applied to me. Of course you didn't, because you're full of shit. So the best way to fight back against commies, the Mamdanis, and everyone else out there, and the Bernie Sanders class, and the AOC class out there that's growing in prominence on the left, make no mistake, do not sell them short, is to target them with their own rules. No pun intended. Watch this video and you'll see what I mean. Here's a corporate example. Remember Target? Target did that whole thing with the transgender thing, and they tried to appease the woke mob. They will never be appeased. They will never be appeased. So you want the woke mob? You like the woke mob in your stores? Then good. Let them go sit in your stores. Apparently not. A bunch of activists tried to go do a sit-in in a Target. Target was like, well, we didn't mean those guys. Here, watch this.
So we've been told as we've been coming to Target stores chatting with managers that this is open to the public, so that they actually can't kick people out of the store because it's open to the public. So we really wanted to come today and use it as public space. That's what they told us it was. But when we came in and tried to sit down and hang out and use it as public space, as they told us that wasn't allowed. They said we have to be shopping. Well, first they told us we have to be standing. So we stood, and then they told us we have to be shopping. And so we said, doesn't seem like ICE comes in here and shops. Do you kick them out when they're not shopping at Target? Oh, how interesting. But it does seem like they want to kick community out of Target. So that's what we're here to do today, to call out that hypocrisy that Target actually can kick people out of their store, and they should be kicking ICE out of their store every day.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for Target. I just don't. You tried to appease the woke mob. Now stick by your own set of rules. They want to go in there and do a sit-in. You should celebrate it. You should feed them. Bring them coffee. Bring them a little blackout. I got it in a cup. I got the cold brew. Bring them some coffee and some donuts or something. Who knows what they eat? Crumpets or whatever they do. What is that? Crumpet. I don't even know what crumpet is. Make them live up to their own set of rules. Use Saul Alinsky rule number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, we got midterms coming up, and we got a presidential election coming up that's right around the corner too. The only way to defeat these radical leftists that will destroy the country if they take it back with another Obama Biden or another Mamdani type, the only way to defeat them is using this rule, is to constantly expose them and break through the noise on X about, oh, look at Mamdani. Oh, he's so young and he's so magnetic and all this other stuff. That's all noise. Break through with signal. Apply the tactics, make them live up to their own rules. And when they do it, you embarrass them into, you basically embarrass them into destroying their political bank accounts. And I don't mean money. I mean their capital with people. Here's another one. An Exhibit 2. This is Ben Leo from GB News. This is fantastic. Many of you saw the Bill, Bill Eilish was up on stage talking about there's no such thing as illegal people on stolen land. I guess she's a singer or something, Bill. So Bill went up on stage. Bill doesn't know anything about anything, of course. I really don't care what celebrities have to say about anything ever. I'm not interested. Just sing. We don't care. However, Bill was talking about stolen land, implying, I guess, that the United States is on stolen land. But notice Bill never gave her land back. Bill's got a nice plot of land. So this genius, and I mean, I'm not being sarcastic, Ben Leo, GB News, decided to show up at Bill's house to ask some questions about what's going on with, she doesn't think walls work and everything's stolen land. Why is she on that stolen land? This is just great. I saw this. This is one of the first clips I sent yesterday. I'm like, we got to use this. Hat tip Ben Leo. Great job, GB News. Watch this.
Isn't that ironic? Massive gates keeping people out. I thought Billy didn't believe in borders. Well, according to the driveway, Billy does believe in borders. She believes in massive gates keeping people out. A couple of cameras up there as well. The lights are on, so somebody must be home. Let us in, please, Billy. We are here because this is stolen land, Billy, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion. And such is Billy's concern for security and privacy. It's surrounded by pretty decent security fencing. Very nice indeed. Massive security hedges as well.
So, does she believe in borders? She believes in borders around her house. These people are full of shit. They are full of shit. Make them live up to their own rules. We didn't make you get into politics. You inserted yourself in politics, Billy, that was you. Listen, I'm not a singer. Maybe in my old studio, you've heard me belt out a few horrible lyrics. It was awful. I joke about it. She was dead serious. You know what? I'm going to start commenting on border policy, politics, stolen land, and all that. Okay. Live up to your own rules. Bill, give it back. So Ben Leo, good job. That stuff works, folks. That is how you get to signal and you start to drown out the Bill Eilish type noise. You want to do it? You want to start talking about stolen land? Return yours first, you big freaking fraud. Here's one more on this, and I'm going to get to some other stuff I have today, too, about why this movement, this collectivist, Mamdani, commie type movement, just never, ever goes away despite a 100% success rate of failing. It fails every single time. I'm going to show you some examples of the wake up happening right now, even in New York. New York, Mamdani just got in a month ago. Yep, it's already happening. Mamdani just discovered this stuff. Justin, did you ever hear? I know you're in Florida. You may not know. But sometimes when it gets cold, by the way, the freezing point of water is like, right around 32. So you get this thing sometimes in the cold weather, in the 30s and stuff, when it gets chilly out there. You ever heard of it, Justin? It's white. It's got a crystal-like structure to it. Sometimes it's, it's denser and can pack a little better. People ski on it. It's called MS now. Snow, like MS now. Snow. No, not my snow. Yes, snow. That's correct. So Mamdani just discovered that it snows in New York. So the people in New York who thought voting for a commie with no leadership skills at all was a good idea, Mamdani's like, snow? It snows up here in the winter? I grew up in New York. I was like, wow, that never happened. Hold on that. One more video for you. This is an oldie but goodie. This is Steve Cortez at the DNC. Videos like this matter, folks. Spread this thing around. These things matter. They make your political opponents look like fools because their rules are bullshit. They don't live up to themselves. They don't want borders. They think everybody should have access to everything all the time, including your taxpayer money. Here was Steve Cortez at the DNC with a young man trying to get some access to the event. The DNC. They don't want voter ID, but you better have ID to get into the DNC. Check this out.
This is my new acquaintance, Edwin. Say hello.
My name is Edwin. Nice to meet
All right,
you.
Edwin is from Venezuela. And we're going to take Edwin into the DNC so that he can meet the Democrats who want open borders. He should meet his new friends, hear the speakers, and learn about the Democratic Party. So, Edwin, let's head in, shall we?
Excelente.
Right. This is Edwin from Venezuela, migrant, invited in by the Democratic Party. He'd like to come into the Democratic Convention.
You have to get your credentials. Yep, you have to go to Jackson.
Yep. Wait, you mean he needs credentials and permission to come in
Yes.
to get past the wall?
Yes.
Oh, it's like a border wall in a way, huh?
Yeah. You have to have ID, credentials. You can come
Okay,
in.
to come to the United States?
No, to come
Not to come to the
here.
United States, okay, but
No,
to come to
just
the Democratic
to come through
Convention.
here, baby.
Okay. You believe in security. You believe in securing a boundary.
Oldie but goodie, folks. Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, number 4. Always hold your political opponents to their own standards. And when collectivists want to say, hey, we're going to tax other people and take all their money, good. What's your tax rate? How much are you voluntarily giving over to the government, you freaking phony fraud fakes? The answer is probably 0. Probably doing everything you can to avoid giving the government money. Folks, they are always, always late to the party, the leftists. That's why destructive, murderous communism, collectivism that has killed, murdered, tortured, and imprisoned people over the course of human history never, ever goes away and keeps coming back because they exist in this all-noise, insulated bubble and no signal ever gets through, ever. That's why Donald Trump was such a shock to the system. They are just used to noise only. Noise being, oh, Mamdani, he's so young and charismatic. What the hell does that have to do with his leadership abilities? Folks, I never met MacArthur or Patton or some of the great military generals and leaders of our time or time prior to mine. But I have to imagine they weren't known for their charisma or their ravishing good looks. They were known for signal. The left is known for noise. That's why Trump is a shock to the system. And that's why they keep buying the bullshit every single time. The wake-up call is slow, but it does happen as long as we keep hammering this home. I saw this article at Red State yesterday. Here's another example of this. Climate scientist, a climate scold, one of these like the earth is going to fall apart kind of, folks, whatever. Now admits CO2 isn't destroying the planet. Ward Clark, February 4, 2026. Check this article out. It's worth your time. Here's some of this honesty from what they call a climate scold. Quote, climate change isn't dangerous, and there isn't a consensus on how much of it we can even control, and if the solutions like solar and wind even work, Biggers argued in her social media post. Biggers said she started questioning her climate activism during the COVID-19 pandemic and after having her first child. She noted that even with basically the world shut down, it had almost zero effect on emissions. Folks, your message, we're winning. I got a section coming up later in the show. We are winning. It doesn't seem like it because it's slow. Notice I didn't say we've won. I did not say that. We are winning. We're winning on DEI. We're winning on the culture. We're winning on exposing leftist radicalism. There are going to be some setbacks, yes. We haven't won anything. Are we winning? Yes. In other words, the pendulum and the momentum, the big mo is definitely swimming in our direction. I'm sure of it. I always bring receipts, and I'll back it up to you. But here's another one. Mandami up in New York, the commie. He just got sworn in, just a month ago. They have a snowstorm up in New York. Dude, I grew up in New York. This is not the first time they've had freaking snow in New York. New York City politicians demand action from Mamdani, blaming ambiguous city snow removals for delayed cleanup. Are you shitting me, man? The New York City Sanitation Department is the best in the world. These guys clean up snow before it even hits the ground. Mamdani gets into office and everybody's confused all of a sudden. Oh, no, man. How we clean up the snow? Let me tell you something. The sanitation trucks that go, the big white trucks that collect your garbage, they put the snow plows on the front of them. They go out with the salt machines. There are facilities all over the 5 boroughs of New York. How do I know? I freaking lived there until I was 20 years old. Is the process absolutely seamless every time? But you just got into office. They've had no problems with snow removal to speak of. Significant issues. You get in office like, yeah, I don't know the rules, man. I can't figure it out. Maybe don't elect a guy who's never led in a crisis in his entire life. Mamdani. What is it? Has he ever had a job? Folks in the chat, can you look that up for me? Has he ever had a job? Wasn't he assemblyman before? I think he was an assemblyman. I remember him screaming at Homan one time or something like that. But has he ever had an actual job? Here's the same Mamdani up in New York. Again, going down the same defund the police suck kind of route, which has been a known loser. They keep going back to the well. This is unbelievable. Hat tip is this end wokeness on here. I'm going to play this video. Hold a second. First, you're going to hear Mamdani speaking at a presser. There was an incident where a police officer confronted a man, a suspect, who you can see on the video lunges at him with a knife. Unquestionably a threat of serious physical injury or death. You get stabbed, you're going to die. End the story. Of course, it's going to be, sadly, a use of force situation. Now, the video, which you'll see next, is pretty clear. Now, you may think this press conference is from Mamdani after he spoke with the police officer. It's not. It's after him speaking with the guy who charged at the police officer with a knife. Wait, what? Yes, this actually happened. Check this out.
And as you said, I spoke with the Chakraborty family and I visited Chavez in the hospital. And there is no family should have to endure this kind of pain.
Baba, no!
Hey, put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife, move! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
They have a 100% success rate at failing. These commies, these collectivists, and these socialists. And yet the libs keep going back to the well every single time. Cut through the noise. Get to the signal. Make them live up to their own rules. It is the only way to fight back. Folks, this fight's going to go on forever. It's been going on throughout human history. People who want to take and people who want to make. You want to be a maker or do you want to be a taker? There's only two sides to it. I choose to make stuff, not take stuff. Oh, good job. Zoran Mamdani, New York Post, has barely ever had a job with just 3 years in the workforce. He was a rapper, including his rap career and a gig for his mom. Isabel Vincent, June 17, 2025, New York Post. Nice work. Dude's never even had a job. You got to have a J-O-B. I told you I'd rock some lyrics there, just not very good. Remember that song from the 80s? Apparently he hasn't. 3 years into work for including his rap career. Does he have a rap song? Gee, can you find that? Does he actually have like a rap song out there? Was it an actual rap career where he was, who knows? Maybe he's a good rapper. I don't know. I mean, hey, I'll give credit where credit is due. I'm not a good singer, rapper, or anything. I just have to have some comic relief, and me singing is always funny. All right, I want to get to this part next. I'm going to take a quick break here, but folks, there is a rock star in the cabinet right now, President Trump's cabinet, who is, I don't think, getting enough credit. The good news, bad news about President Trump's cabinet, the good news is he's got the Avengers in there. He just does. Between Pete, I mean, JD's not really in the cabinet, but you get the point. The leadership team. He's just got an incredible group of people over there. One of them, I just don't, Rubio, and he just doesn't get enough credit. This guy is just always on point. I'm going to play some Capitol Hill video coming up next of him just hammering these idiots. And this is exactly what you need. Don't put up with any of this leftist bullshit. You give an inch, they'll take a country mile. All right, last break. Folks, you know, sleep is really important. Everybody's a sleep hacker now, trying to figure out how to squeeze out a couple more minutes of deep sleep and REM sleep. People have their rings on and their biomonitors and all that stuff. Sleep is where you recover. A good night's sleep, going to save your butt, but you're not going to get a good night's sleep on a terrible mattress. I use a Helix Sleep. The minute I moved up to DC, I called Teresa. I said, hey, I got to get me a Helix. Connect me with the team. Send it right up there. We've had Helix mattresses in every single house we've lived in. We've moved quite a bit. We always get a new one. We love it. Make the change to Helix mattress, H-E-L-A-X. Helix, H-E-L-A-X, matches you with the perfect mattress based on your personal preferences and sleep needs, not someone else's. It makes buying a mattress really, really easy. And you can have confidence with your match with seamless returns and exchanges. The Happy with Helix guarantee offers you a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. Even my guys here in the studio are hooked on their Helix mattresses after getting their personal match. Go to helixsleep.com/Dan for 27% off site-wide. It's a big savings. H-E-L-I-X, Helix. That's helixsleep.com/Dan and get 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/Dan, helixsleep.com/Dan. Can't recommend them enough. Love Helix mattresses. And our last sponsor today, guys, you know how I am about privacy. We've had, unfortunately, on a very serious note, some significant security situations around the house and elsewhere. Paul and I have been very concerned about this. We don't live in panic or in fear, but it's your privacy. Keep as much of that stuff out of the public space as you can. It's nobody's business. You've heard me talk about Delete Me in the past. I love what they do over there. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Trust me, your privacy is worth protecting. Sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. This is an invaluable service. And it's not just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. As someone with an active online presence, privacy is really important to me. I told you about the security issues. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for my listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/Bongino and use promo code Bongino, Bongino, at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/Bongino and enter code Bongino at checkout. Protect your privacy today. That's joindeleteme.com/Bongino, code Bongino. Good product there. I've had to unfortunately use a lot of. We've had some tough incidents happen over the past year, but it's part of the business. I wish it didn't happen to anyone out there, but it is part of the business. So when you're out in the public, you're out in the public. What's that? Oh, this is the wait. What? That's his rap song. Oh, so Mamdani's rap career, 2015 to 2019, he was under the moniker Young Cardamom, and he collaborated with Ugandan rapper Abdul Bar Hussein in South Sudan. Okay, wow, this guy really was a star. Is that it? Come on, that's not it. You're full of crap. Is that it? Is he have no shirt on? This is the guy who couldn't bench press like 135 pounds. I'm like 51. I can bench press 135 pounds. All right, well, not terrible. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard. I mean, I've heard some pretty bad rap. I mean, listen, I told you, Mr. Cardamom with the apron on and no shirt, kind of weird, but it's not the worst thing I ever heard. All right, getting back to a real rock star, not rap star, but a rock star. I don't think gets enough credit. Folks, Scott Bessen's been doing a killer job over there in the president's cabinet, holding it down at Treasury. The guy's amazing. Total rock star. Every time he goes up in Capitol Hill, he gives like an Econ 101 lesson to these idiots up there. And unfortunately, there's a lot of idiots up on Capitol Hill, and most of them reside on the Democrat side of the aisle. The queen of the idiots is unquestionably, you guessed it. I know you're thinking AOC. Maybe it's kind of a battle for the crown. I got to go with Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters always has something stupid to say if she has anything to say at all. Here is brilliant Scott Besson explaining economics to Maxine Waters, who goes back to the answer up on Capitol Hill every one of these moron politicians has when they don't get an answer. This is a yes or no question. It's not a yes or no question. I'll answer it like I want. And it's not your time. It's the people's time. Watch this exchange. This is great.
And on housing or affordability and putting the economy at risk. Yes or no? You don't have to explain.
Representative Waters,
will you be the voice? Will you be the voice? Will you be the voice? Will you be the voice of reason? Will you be the voice of reason?
A study
yes
from
no?
Wharton University
reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
Was a mass unfettered immigration.
Mr. Chair, will you let him know that when I ask
time does belong to the housing woman from California.
10 and 20 million immigrants
can you
took
shut
up the housing stock of working Americans, and can you maintain some level of dignity?
General Labor's time has expired.
No, my time has not expired.
This is how it's done. This is how it's done. I've testified up on Capitol Hill a couple times. Well, one remote during the COVID thing and one up on Capitol Hill. Folks, that's how it's done. It's not their time. It's the people's time. If they ask you a question, do what Scott Besson does. Just keep talking. Just keep talking. I'm reclaiming my time. It's a yes or no. Just keep talking. Just ignore them like they're not even there. Drown out the noise. Stick to the signal every single time. I love this guy. He just hammers right through it. He doesn't listen. And you notice what he does? I got to do this a little better. I come off, I'm a really happy guy, I promise you. I really am. The team knows it. But they do. But sometimes people think I have like RBF a little bit, especially when they see me in public. They're like, hey, how you doing? You look a little angry. I'm like, no, I'm in a great mood. And then they start talking to him and it's different. He does it all with a smile. Like he's just smiling and laughing at her. But he's a really smart guy too. He was in that clip, by the way, I should say, he was explaining how basics of Econ 101, supply demand, how when you increase the demand for housing through illegal immigration and the need for rental properties and places to live, that it increases housing prices. By the way, supply and demand and the intersection of the clearing price is not a controversial point, except to Maxine Waters, who doesn't understand any of that, which is fascinating because Maxine Waters probably supports rent controls to artificially lower the price of rents when the demand for rent will go up when you increase the amount of people. It's not all bad when people increase. However, it does increase. Can I just explain this quick? One of the reasons that you get an issue in housing, so a lot of times when you increase the population, you increase human capital. Yes, you're going to increase demand for products, but you're also going to increase the production of those products because there's more people. The problem you have in housing is because of regulatory Democrat, liberal, and even sometimes weak Republican policies. It's not easy to build housing right away. So you can make more bagels the next day if more people come into your bagel store every morning. You're like, hey, 10% increase every single day. We got to produce 10% more bagels. That's not hard. That's not the way it works with housing. That's what Besson's trying to explain to dopey Maxine Waters, that housing is a little more inflexible. You can't just build it tomorrow. People got to go somewhere like today. Of course, she doesn't know that, or she doesn't. She probably doesn't. She's a moron. Here's Besson here explaining also how the Trump administration has managed to produce. I can't even explain to you how transformative this is going to be. He's managed to produce in the last quarter 4% GDP growth. Folks, for an advanced country like us, and by the way, the Atlanta Fed's predicting 5.5% next quarter. Folks, we averaged under the Obama years in about the 2 or less range. When Trump came in 45, he fixed a lot of the Obama mess and we finally got to 3. 3 is basically like good, but not great. 4 is amazing. 5 is unprecedented for an advanced economy at this stage. Now, well, not unprecedented, but it's hard. 5% growth. Hitting 4% is amazing. 4% productivity growth, imagine just producing in gross terms 4% more stuff. That's a huge freaking deal. Here's Besson explaining this to these economic numbnuts up there on the Dem side up on Capitol Hill. Check this out.
The U.S. will have reported likely, despite the government shutdown, despite the longest government shutdown in history, 4.1% growth for the past 3 quarters. And so we have been successful at that. Europe last week celebrated 0.3% growth. So It's no comparison. And I think we are beginning to accelerate. And importantly, everything we are doing is to fix this terrible Biden inflation from the past 4 years, 21.5%, much more for working families, and we are bringing that down.
Notice, he didn't say Europe had 3% growth. He said Europe had 0.3. We had 4% growth. That's huge. You see it, by the way, in this tweet, where despite all the doomerism from the left and elsewhere about Donald Trump and the administration and the economy, oh my God, the sky is falling, chicken freaking littles everywhere. Look at his tweet. You're finally seeing a turn where people are starting to feel more optimistic about their financial condition right now. For the first time since 2021, more people say their financial situation's improving than say it's getting worse. RMG, hat tip, political polls, P polling numbers on X. Now, here's Mr. Wonderful making a double appearance, which is very rare on my show today. I want to talk about something really serious here. This new economy we're living in is going to require real adjustment, folks. The old days of our mothers and fathers, I was born in 1974, and thank God for that generation. The greatest generation and the subsequent generation after that. My grandfather fought in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. My Uncle Greg, who died in Vietnam, a hero with his Bronze Star, just an amazing guy. They had to bust their ass. In order to go produce stuff in the 1970s and 60s and 50s, you had to go to the factory to produce stuff. There was not a lot of software development going on at home. There was no internet to speak of. There was no email. There was the only way to communicate was by phones or by mail or in person. And that's how work happened around the water cooler. Work is different now. It's taking a really big adjustment for a lot of us older generation folks to adapt to the way these new creators and founders of the, say, Elon Musk creative style to the way they work. I'm not talking about, by the way, I get there's a laziness problem too, which I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a lot of these younger generation kids are really smart. I say kids, but they're in their 20s and 30s, some of them. They're just a lot younger than me. They work different. They work different because they focus a lot on signal. They drown out the noise, but there's a way to get signal not necessarily married to a water cooler anymore. You can't argue with Kevin O'Leary's success in business. The guy's seen more successes in business than most people will in a lifetime. Here he is on Fox the other day talking about how the old style of working is not in the AI and tech generation necessarily going to transfer right away, and how he's impressed with some of these younger creators and founders with a vision about how they're working. I'm going to talk about this in a second. This is an important clip. Check this out.
When I was an operator, I did work 25 hours a day. And then I became an investor, and that changed my mind because I got to invest in many young men and women who have an alternative view of life. They focus on longevity. And they focus on efficiency and productivity. And the ones, and I have many years of data, so the ones that keep themselves very healthy, eat well, sleep well, exercise, and all of that made me a lot more money than the ones that were the heroes burning the candle at both ends. So I realized, wait a second, this is about productivity. It's not working longer, it's working smarter. So my mind has been completely changed by outcome and results.
Folks, he's talking about the signal again. We started the show. What are we producing? Not what we're talking about producing. What are you producing? More software, better code, better AI, better products, better output. I only bring this up because I'm online a lot, or have been in the last couple of weeks. Wasn't online a lot. My office was a skiff, so I wasn't even allowed to bring my phone in. When I was working in D.C., so I wasn't online basically at all other than at night. There's a lot of those tweets that were out from my account, my general words, but they went out from the shop because I wasn't on my phone. But now I'm back online producing show content, and I did keep up with some of it in the weekends and things like that. I'm seeing this trend with younger folks where Kevin O'Leary mentions it too. It's great that they're really work-oriented towards producing output, not necessarily married to a water cooler somewhere, but married to ideas and creativity. But he mentions this life hacking thing too. I'm big into biohacking, life hacking, health, fitness. I'm 51. I've been through cancer, all kinds of crap. That's not a sob story. We all got problems, whatever. I'm just telling you, I just don't want to get dead. But this younger generation, I've seen, alcohol sales have fallen off, all these other things. I am not here pitching you go drink alcohol. I'm not. You got it? I'm not going to say anything more until everybody digests that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you, I got a question a long time ago. And it's just generations like divorcing themselves from social situations. Everything's online now and digital and Instagram likes and TikTok and all that other stuff. And there's a role for that. I enjoy it too. But divorcing yourself from real world social situations and social interactions, I believe is going to have a real cost. Kevin brought this up, and it's great that they're into health and fitness. That's important. But ladies and gentlemen, you got to enjoy your life too. Even when we were going through a real struggle, Paul and I, in DC, being separated and apart, and, we had some issues with the kids and things like that, we always made sure to try and spend a couple of nights together a month and just enjoy ourselves and let loose. And believe me, it was hard. I say this if you're open to it, to this younger generation. You may tell me go pound sand, and that's fine. I've lived 1,000 lifetimes, all of them, between NYPD, Secret Service, writing books, TV shows, radio shows, podcasts, FBI, political candidate campaigns, whatever. Go out and enjoy yourselves once in a while with your friends. Alcohol is only the enemy if you make it the enemy. Don't ever let it consume your life. Don't let it make decisions for you. But this may be a controversial opinion out there, but I heard someone online, forgive me, I always hat tip, I just don't remember who said it. They called it a social lubricant. Folks, I'm going to tell you something, man. Someone asked me once a while ago, but right before I left, it was like a question I got 2 months before I left to go to the bureau. They said, we used to have that Ask Dan segment, which we'll bring back. Someone said, Dan, you're a health guy. You drink wine with your wife. That's a poison. Yeah, that's a poison. You're correct. They said, why? I said, because I choose to enjoy my life. And I enjoy having a few drinks once in a while on a Friday night with Paula. I don't drink and drive. I don't break the law. I don't act stupid. I never lose control. But some of the best times in my life when I was younger were taking a cab home after a night hanging out at the bar with my friends when I was a cop. Memories I'll never forget. I wouldn't trade them for 1 million likes on Instagram or TikTok. Take it or leave it. Be responsible. This is not a pro-alcohol segment by any means. It's a pro-enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life. Work hard Monday through Friday, maybe Monday through Saturday. But if you don't take a day to enjoy your life, I think you're going to regret it later. I'm just saying. All right, moving on. Getting back to what I was talking about before, where do not give an inch. I mentioned this in the beginning of the show. Absolutely, positively, do not give an inch to leftist media people ever, because they're not there and they're not being sincere. The Trump administration understands that. I had said to you on the opening show on day one that the best way for media people to enhance the job security of anyone in Donald Trump's inner circle is to write an article about them demanding they be fired. Donald Trump, he was talking at the prayer breakfast this morning. Had any of you guys in the chat see it? Did you see him at the, I'm sorry, I was just looking at my phone's over there. That's why you can see it on the stand. That's why I'm always looking at it. Look, we got the Muttley down, and Muttley's like looking at my phone down there. Everything's in the opposite direction. There you go. He was talking at the prayer breakfast about this morning. The media was all attacking Kristi Noem. And the best way to get job security in the administration is for the media to attack people, because it means they're afraid of them. They want Kristi Noem out because the border is basically shut down for the first time in modern American history. She's not going anywhere. The bullshit pieces are not going to have even the slightest impact on the president. He will keep or get rid of whoever he wants. He's not listening to you because he doesn't give an inch, and neither does JD. Vice President Vance was given an interview that was a Daily Mail guy. And the Daily Mail guy is talking about one of these AFO, assault on federal officer use of force incidents we had with ICE. And he's asking Vice President Vance, are you going to apologize? This is exactly, they didn't, keep in mind, I don't recall them asking people in the Obama administration. I'm talking about the left-wing media in general. The Biden administration or the Obama administration, for any apologies on the Russia hoax, for Biden's clearly cognitive decline when they said he was sharp. I don't recall asking for apologies for that. Here's how JD, Vice President Vance, responded, and this is the way you do it. Check this out.
Plan to apologize to the family of Alex Peretti?
For what?
for labeling him an assassin with ill intent.
Well, again, I just described to you what I said about Alex Pretty, which is that he's a guy who showed up with ill intent to an ICE protest.
No, but if it is
he's
determined, if it's determined that his civil rights were violated by this FBI investigation, will you apologize to that?
So if this hypothetical leads to that hypothetical leads to another hypothetical,
it's a real case.
Will I do a thing?
Good for you. There is no need to justify to these people what you're thinking. None. Why? Because they're not. If a court asks you, a friend of yours asks you, fine. They're not being genuine. They don't give a shit about an apology. They don't care. Start demanding apologies from the Biden team for covering up his obvious cognitive decline. Or Obama's team for the Russia hoax, which we saw up close. Thankfully, I saw this too on the inside. You have to appoint, and the president's really good at this. That's why he has Witkoff and others, Steve Witkoff. You have to appoint point men on a specific task. One of the things I noticed in the year away in government is if you have a task, let's say the drone project. I had a guy, this guy Fred. I brought him from the outside and I said, Fred, you're the guy on drones. Like you own it, every week or so, give me kind of an update, but you're the guy. You got to appoint a point man on things. If you don't, especially in the government, things get lost. It happens. It's just the bureaucratic system of government is so inefficient. If there's no point man on a significant project, I guarantee you the project's going to sit idle. You can't have that. So it really warmed my heart to see this article over at CBS that JD, Vice President Vance, is now going to be heading up this anti-fraud task force targeting California and more states because this fraud is everywhere. You saw, as I showed you yesterday, I think they're up to 90 federal arrests in Minnesota. And I didn't explain this to you yesterday. I should have explained a little better. I saw a couple folks in the chat say, the Minnesota fraud case in the Somali community and elsewhere you heard about. It's been in the news. You obviously know about it. One of the reasons on the federal side you don't see more arrests is there's a thing in the federal government. Again, I'm just explaining it. If you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. That's why I said don't over-explain yourself. The people who don't care, don't care. The people who do care just want an explanation and move on. In the federal government, they have this thing called basically a blanket declination letter. Because the federal government has very limited resources, what we call AUSAs, Assistant United States Attorneys, prosecutors for the government, like an ADA at the local level, an Assistant District Attorney, they don't have a lot of them. I mean, one point, I think up in Puerto Rico, we had less than a handful. That was it for the whole place. So there's not a lot, and they all have to work on cases that take a really long time. They're not simple cases like, highway speeding or things like that. So there's just not enough. It's hard to hire lawyers. It's difficult. It takes a long. It's not an excuse, just an explanation. So they have these blanket declinations. If it doesn't meet a certain fraud level, in other words, like Joey Bag of Donuts didn't commit $100,000 in fraud, they're just blanket going to decline it, and the state and locals have to pick it up. They just don't have the bodies to do it. So what you'll see in the federal government, which I saw as an agent and then back in the Bureau again, is if it doesn't meet a certain threshold, the bigger cases will get prosecuted by the feds. The others, they'll either send down to TFOs, task force officers, or state, local, territorial, tribal police officers who will prosecute them from there because they just don't have the manpower. So that's why you're going to see a lot of the ringleaders and folks like that. And you've seen a lot of the big frauds, but that's why the numbers are there and the state and locals have to pick up the rest. There's just not enough people. So again, just an explanation. But having the vice president in charge of this, I'm pretty sure you're going to see even more results as they move forward in the investigation. Now, this warmed my heart too this morning. Obviously, you know about the ballot case down in Georgia. There was an FBI search warrant served. Now, for the dipshits in the media who don't understand how this works, I'm going to play a clip of President Trump in a minute on this. One, the president's not involved in this. This is an FBI investigation. It is not new, okay? This did not just happen overnight. The FBI, this is amazing. I talk like a 5-year-old to the liberals in the media out there. They're the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not prosecutions, okay? What happens is they present an investigative package of facts they developed during their investigation to a grand jury or a judge. That grand jury of people, if they issue a true bill, will issue what's called an indictment. The FBI doesn't indict anyone. A grand jury does. The FBI also doesn't issue warrants per se. They come from judges or magistrates. You go to a judge and you get a search warrant who has to sign off on it. You have to go to a judge as an agent, raise your right hand, and say, I swear the investigative package I'm putting in front of you is true. The judge in the Fulton County case clearly agreed that the investigation indicated probable cause of a crime. Why? Because the judge signed the warrant. So anyone saying, oh, this Fulton County, Georgia, you guys are just making this up. Really? Swear to it under the threat of perjury? This isn't the old bureau that did that in the Crossfire Hurricane case. You actually have to produce facts. Here's Donald Trump explaining this to one of these media guys about how he's not involved in this. He has nothing to do with the process at all. Check this out.
What is happening? I'm not doing anything, but the FBI went in because it's been under I guess, review for years. The cheating that took place in Fulton County and in that particular
Nobody knows
state.
what's in the warrant.
What are you going to find out? Look, why would anybody be upset that they went in and they got the ballots, I guess, right? Again, they did this. That's been under review and under investigation for 4 years. And now they got a court order. You know, they got a court order signed by
nobody knows what
a
the evidence
respected but liberal judge, signed a court order allowing them to go and pick them up. Well, you're going to know what the ballot's safe because they're right now inspecting the ballot. I'm not involved in it, but they are inspecting and checking.
Why is the media so concerned about this? Well, we know why. They're hacks and goons. But for a moment, remove the hacks and goons portion of it, and let's just try to talk emotion-free of this, which is hard. If this FBI warrant, by the way, and a case has been going on a while now, produced an investigative packet that was sound enough to indicate there was probable cause of a potential crime here, and a judge who has nothing to do with the FBI investigation at all, he's an independent arbiter, said, yes, I agree, I will sign off, go get those materials from Fulton County, Georgia, then you would think the media would be like, wow, sounds like Houston, or in this case, Fulton, we got a problem. All they keep doing is, oh, man, this doesn't look, it looks like you guys are you're going to blame the judge? Trump has nothing to do with it. He doesn't sign warrants. He doesn't do any of that. He signs executive orders. He has nothing to do with the case. And media people, I thought you were concerned about election integrity, free and fair elections. That's all you talk about. You guys are against the SAVE Act. You're worried that Fulton County, Georgia, they're actually going to find something. You should be elated if they find something so we can clear it up and the American people can have faith in elections and institutions again. Why would you object to that? And if the investigation turns out that there's no there, good, there's no there. We move on. We're going to do facts. We're not going to do bullshit. But you don't find it weird that a judge signed off on this? You think they just made it up? You don't find it even a little strange? Folks, the Democrats will do anything to interfere in elections. They will. I want a fair election regardless of the winner. Because when people lose faith in the institution of voting, the whole country falls apart. There is zero question that mail-in balloting that happened in 2020 and elsewhere is prone to error and fraud. I'm going to prove it to you with receipts in a moment using the left-wing media's own narratives. There's zero doubt the statistics show that. Why would you want more fraud? The answer is because you want to cheat. Here's Tricky Dick Blumenthal, another one of these left-wing outlets, a Democrat senator known for his hyperbole and fairy tales about his career and past. Here's Tricky Dick Blumenthal in the SAVE Act, which would basically institute a set of voter ID standards which would secure our elections. The Democrats don't want that. Why? Because they don't want secure elections. That's why. Here's Blumenthal on NBC. There's no evidence that voter fraud and all this stuff. No evidence? Really? You sure? You want to rescind that, Tricky Dick, before we get to the next segment? Here, check this out.
The answer is no. There is no objective research. There is no factual basis at all to believe that mail-in ballots are somehow fraught with fraud or that immigrants illegally here are voting There is not a scintilla of evidence to justify that kind of comment.
So just to be clear, I heard the same clip you guys just did. There's, quote, not a scintilla of evidence, and he's talking about mail-in balloting and showing fraud. Not a scintilla. Guy, do we got to go back to it? I think we do. This was Guy's idea. I'm just kidding. It was mine. New York Times. New York Times. You mean the New York Post? No, I mean the New York Times. This is an article from 2012 that still stands. This is Dan Bongino talking about myself in the third person. This is his favorite clip of all time we play on the show. Here's the New York Times, Adam Liptak. Go put this in the Google machine if you don't think it exists. Here's the title. If you're listening on audio, Spotify or Apple, give us a follow. Also, but check this out. Go put this in the Google machine. Error and fraud at issue as absentee voting rises. Let me read to you the quote, Tricky Dick, from your buddies at the New York Times. Quote, meaning they wrote this. Yet votes cast by mail are less likely to be counted, more likely to be compromised, and more likely to be contested than those cast in a voting booth, statistics show. Election officials reject almost 2% of ballots cast by mail, double the rate for in-person voting. Here's a quote from a Mr. Sancho. He's an election official guy. The more people you force to vote by mail, Mr. Sancho said, the more invalid ballots you will generate. I thought there was no evidence, Tricky Dick. Denang Dick. Hey, Dick. Dicko. Dickie. Hey, Dicko, did you see that? They call you Dicko, your friends? Dickie, Dicko, something like. Some of my friends call me Dano. Maybe they call him Dicko. I don't know. Is Adam Liptak at the New York Times making that up? What about Mr. Sancho? Maybe you should look him up. Why did the New York Times back in 2012 write that piece? Because there's always an agenda. Why would they attack mail-in voting? Because a lot of seniors vote by mail. And back in the day, a lot of seniors happen to vote conservative and Republican. I can't get in Liptak's head, but my guess is that the New York Times wanted to cast doubt on mail-in votes in Florida. And then when mail-in voting started to expand beyond seniors and the military, people that tend to vote conservative or Republican, all of a sudden Democrats started voting by mail and they realized the fraud may work for them. And then all of a sudden, oh, no evidence. Dicko! Check it out, Dicko. You think they call him Dicko? He calls me Dano once in a while. He's shaking his, no, he actually doesn't. But they definitely call him Dicko. What'd you say? Not once. It's true. Dicko, check that out. Put the piece in the interwebs. You can read it yourself. I thought you said there was no evidence. Fraud and mail-in voting is double. Fraud and error rates, they're not always the same thing, are double. Why not pass the SAVE Act? Because you don't want free and fair elections. Now, I don't like to tell you stuff in the beginning of the show I don't follow through with. And I said to you in the beginning of the show, I was going to put a smile on your face because I'm not and never will be a freaking doomer. I can't stand that. Folks, we haven't won anything, but we are winning. I've seen these tides turn. I've seen the wind starting to blow in our direction. You've seen it with the culture wars. You saw it up on Capitol Hill yesterday with these media titans talking about woke programming. They're on the defensive now when they used to be so proud of it. A lot of them are like, yeah, we got these like trans programs all over our network. Now they're like, they still have them, but you can see, you can sense, like I said, that we haven't really won, but we're winning. The conversation has totally changed. Back it up. Produce receipts. This is why, like Vice President Vance, you don't give an inch to these people. They don't want it. They don't have any principles other than winning. Here's the first one. The Washington Post, folks, a bastion of left-wing commie ideology for decades. The Washington Post is the worst. And there's Philip Bumpwork over there and these other morons. Just a horrendous newspaper full of absolute ideologues, PP tape hoaxers, people who never acknowledge the truth. You know, folks, people who never change their minds never change anything. That was in that Churchill movie I saw. And it's so true. People who never change their minds never change anything. I change my mind all the time because I get new inputs and I produce a fresh and better output, okay? Left-wing media never does that. Philip Bump still believes in the PP hoax. He still believes in the Russia hoax. That's why you see places like the Washington Post struggling. Here's Sally Quinn, I believe, on CNN talking about the basically employment bloodbath at the Washington Post as they dump something like 30% of their staff because people eventually get tired of listening to bullshit all the time. Some of those don't cry for me Argentina moments. I don't feel bad for any of these people. I'm sorry. I don't want to see people lose their job or anything, but you lie to people, and then I'm sorry. Like, you screwed yourself. Check this out.
What is your reaction to these layoffs?
I think the only word I can say is grief. Everybody's in a state of grief. It's really like in the last year, it's just been one funeral after the other. We've had nothing but going away parties, people being laid off, people taking the buyout, people just quitting. And it's just tragic what's happening to the Washington Post. And there's nobody who doesn't feel that way. It's not just me. It's not just the people at the Post, but it's everybody in journalism. My colleagues at the New York Times are just as upset as anybody because they don't want to see journalism dying, and they certainly don't want to see the Washington Post dying. The Washington Post is an institution, just like the New York Times. And the idea of having the paper just wither away is just so sad.
You know what's so sad? You've been lying and bullshitting people for decades now, and a lot of even, I think, these liberals are tired of being embarrassed by your left-wing crap that always blows up in their faces over time. That's the tragedy. Folks, we try to always bring receipts. Have we won? No. Are we winning? Yes. These institutions are collapsing everywhere. Here, look at this New Yorker piece, freaking out over Bari Weiss over there at CBS, trying to bring some normalcy back to the CBS newsroom. They can't have it. They can't have it. 60 Minutes and CBS, if they're not commie left-wingers all the time, they lose their mind. Inside Bari Weiss's hostile takeover of CBS. Hostile, like she walked in there with like a Delta Force team or something like that. Claire Malone, the New Yorker. How do I know we're winning? Folks, the people on the right largely get their news from Fox, Newsmax, Breitbart, Daily Caller, Crowder, Bongino, Shapiro, Levin. You've seen it. These shows are flourishing. I just told you, we just came back. We've been out for a year, and the audience, we got 80,000 people watching us right now at 11 o'clock in a new time slot in a 3-week launch. We're not having any problems. Look at Fox, 24 years at number one. 24 years, that's kind of a long time. Here's the Spotify thing. Us trending number one on Spotify. What's the commonality? You know, we don't bullshit people. Top live streams. We had on our launch, we had two of the top 10. I think we were 1 and 2 top live streams in the U.S. Yeah, Bongino part, Haley, and then Steve Crowder, we love too. Folks, we're winning, and the left is constantly, quote, surprised by it too. Here's the Melania movie. The left, stunned by the box office returns for the Melania movie. I wasn't stunned at all. Everybody in my neighborhood was talking about it. They wanted to go see. People, keep that up a second. Folks, having been involved with a documentary, people are not crazy about documentaries. They aren't. They perform well, but not great. So, you do them for if you're doing them to make money, it's a bad idea. Melania's documentary blew expectations out of the water only if you're a leftist. My neighborhood is full of sane people who are like, hey, that'd be pretty cool to see our charismatic, elegant first lady and to get a behind-the-scenes look. We're stunned by the $8 million box office opening. We weren't stunned at all. I told you, we are winning. We haven't won, but we're winning. You're even seeing a revolt, in places like Oregon. Oregon? Isn't that a lefty place? Yeah. I read this story yesterday in the Journal. I got so pissed off. They hate liberty and freedom, commies and socialists, especially the ones running Oregon, so much. They don't even want an initiative on the ballot. Long and short of it is, they passed this massive tax hike the liberal governor and the liberal legislature over there. Massive tax hike. So because the citizens of Oregon got pissed off at having to pay more taxes, they managed to get this thing on the ballot. So after declaring they'd repeal the tax, the Democrats, because they didn't want it on the ballot in a public vote because they didn't want to be embarrassed, attorneys told them they can't. That would be unconstitutional. Read this in the Journal. It's a Jeff Eagle article. Hold on. Keep it up. It goes on. Now the Democrats in Oregon want to move the date of the vote from November to May, hoping to protect themselves from appearing on the same ballot as their unpopular tax hike. Doing so wouldn't be fair to voters as turnout is higher for general elections. If we weren't winning, why are they so scared of their own piece of legislation? Here's another one. Here's why these people keep falling for the bullshit. You get your news sources from Fox, from Newsmax, like I said, Breitbart, Daily Caller, hopefully BonginoReport.com, which has been doing great. Thank you very much. Drudge went totally crazy a long time ago, so we did Bongino Report. Thank you for supporting the site while I was gone. Really appreciate it. Still, if you want your news, check it out. I don't mention it that often. But that's not where the left gets their news. Their respected sources of information, their PhDs of modern political science, are like the Joy Behars of the world on The View. Here she is yesterday discussing the Don Lemon situation, another tip of the spear intellect for the left on their side, with the violation of the FACE Act charge for the incident in Minnesota. And watch again in this segment how Joy Behar discusses the constitutional right, freedom of the press, which she's correct about, but conveniently leaves out the parishioners' right to express their freedom of religion without people like Don Lemon and others in their face in church harassing them. This is why these people are always wrong about everything, because they live in an insulated bubble of stupid. Check this out.
So, I mean, all I can say is it's in the Constitution, the right to protest. And he wasn't even there protesting. He was there as a journalist.
Yeah, correct.
And I think they want to use him as some kind of a, an example to intimidate other journalists.
Yeah.
But, I was reading something the other day about World War II. When the Americans liberated Dachau after World War II, after the Holocaust, Dwight D. Eisenhower said, take pictures of these concentration camps, because years will go by and people will not believe this happened.
Yeah.
So this administration does not really like somebody like Don Lemon, who has a camera, who has a position like we do in a way, to speak to the people and tell them what really is going on. God bless Dwight D. Eisenhower and Don Lemon.
All they know about me and every other conservative, whether it's Hannity or Levin or anyone else, Shapiro, anyone else, Matt Walsh, is that they're Nazis. That's it. That's all they know. She even went to full Godwin on that one. That's all they know. Fascist, Nazi. They know nothing else. It's why you get the snow problem in New York. I voted for Mandami. He's so charismatic. Can he clean up the snow? No, he doesn't know the rules. If he doesn't know the rules, that's his freaking job to know the rules. That's why you get these late wake-up calls like we were discussing earlier in the show at Red State and elsewhere, the Red State article about this climate scientist who apparently was into climate paranoia and now is like, hey, man, I'm sorry, I was wrong about a lot of it. Of course you were wrong about that. They're all frauds on it. Obama just bought his, thank you, Ward Clark at Red State. It's a great piece. Obama just bought a $1 million mansion a few years back on Martha's Vineyard right off the water. He didn't believe any of it. Martha's Vineyard's going to sink. Really? Then why'd you buy a house there, you dope? These late wake-up calls are just a hallmark of the left. But every generation, we got to fight this fight again. I brought up yesterday this just atrocity happening to our younger kids with this genital mutilation and this leftist fascination with this trans ideology. Folks, if you're an adult, you want to do things to your body. I don't agree with it, but it's your body. It's not mine. Do your thing, man, okay? However, with kids, that is absolutely off limits. I am telling you, history is going to look back through a saner lens, when the insanity lens comes off, on what happened with this trans paranoia, carving up kids' bodies before they were even mentally and psychologically formed enough to make an adult output opinion, feeding them false inputs. You're either going to have a dead kid or a trans kid. to get them to permanently mutilate their bodies. I'm telling you, history is going to look back on this. I am sure of it. At the people who pushed this, and not using the Lord's name in vain, they're going to say, oh my God, like they're going to pray about, I cannot believe that happened. I hope this never, demons must have pervaded people's brains. Finally, there's a slow awakening. I addressed it a little bit yesterday. There was a clip on Fox about it by one of these medical groups starting. Again, have we won this fight? Absolutely not. Are we winning? Is the tide turning? It is. It is. As eyes start to open, as we start to hold them to their own standards, stick with signal, and get them to drown out some of the noise. Watch this clip from Fox.
The American Society of Plastic Surgeons is now advising against gender-affirming surgeries for kids until they reach the age of 19. It's the first major medical group to do so. Here's their argument. Available evidence, they write, suggests that a substantial proportion of children with prepubertal onset gender dysphoria experience resolution or significant reduction of distress by the time they reach adulthood, absent medical or surgical intervention.
I'm just looking at the chat. Holiday Statistics says the awakening isn't happening fast enough. And Rogue Rider says, just like abortion, trans is evil manifestation. I can't believe it went this far before the turnaround started. I mean, we went through a decade of this, celebrating carving up children's bodies. That's what it is. Cutting, carving. I mean, again, there's no way to make it, to put some polish on it, to even make it sound any less demonic than it really is. We went through a decade of this. It's because the left, I told you, is all noise. Once the signal pierced through, and a lot of these detransitioners, which I don't even agree with because there's no transition to begin with, but that's how they're referred to. And I don't like these language wars at all. We shouldn't even use it. You're seeing them now start to say, gosh, I wish I was better informed about this. We are winning. We haven't won, but we are winning. I always like to leave you, hopefully, with some good news. We kind of, you do a little fun stuff, serious stuff, warning stuff, good stuff, bad stuff, all of it. But there is some good news, folks. You're seeing the message and the signal starting to get through. The thing about the Trump administration is they move so fast that when you heard him say at the beginning of the show, hey, we got to get better at the PR stuff, I think he understands that he's moving at a speed politics isn't used to. Here's how politics works pre-Donald Trump. You want to put a tax bill out there, you spend 3 months traveling the country, going to districts where you think the representative is on the fence about it. You condition people to get ready for this big piece of legislation. You do a big pass, a signing ceremony. Donald Trump does all of that stuff, but he does it like he walks, chews gum, and throws darts at the same time. So he doesn't have time to celebrate one thing at a time because he's moving on 10 different things at once. He just is, because he's all signal, and they're not used to that. Politics, even us, have got accustomed to a little bit of noise in the mix. But I want to start to break through that and get you some of the good news. Some of it is breaking through. Here's a tweet on deportations. I see a lot of these. I follow a lot of these polling sites on X. X is a really great delivery platform for information, quick. It's probably one of the best things for a show prep in this business because you see what people think about in lifetime. Again, people say, oh, Twitter's not real life. It is real life. Some of it, of course, is artificial and synthetic. But check this out. Deporting, here's a poll, Marquette, from @IA Polls 2022. People in favor of deporting those in the U.S. illegally. Keep this up a second, folks. Guy. You listen to the mainstream media, in the noise, they'll tell you, oh, man, Americans are turning against Donald Trump and his immigration policies. Really? 56% favor deporting those in the U.S. illegally. Last time I checked, guys, that's a majority. Opposed, 44%. And the numbers are the numbers. That's the signal. Here's another one. You've heard about some of these terrible elections, and they have been. I'm not denying it. Listen, we do have to be concerned about turnout in these low turnout off-year elections and the midterms. We do. We could be in trouble in this midterm. I am not in any way denying that if we do not show up. And we haven't shown up in droves when Donald Trump's not on the ballot. We got to change that. That is accurate. Hear me, left-wing media? You are correct. However, there's some good news buried in this stuff too. Like, even red states, there's a revolt against Donald Trump. Really? They just had a state house election in Alabama. There was a 28-point overperformance for Republicans from 2024. I know what you're thinking in left-wing media. Oh, Dan, it's Alabama. You guys told us there's a red state revolt. I'm not allowed to produce data too? Yeah, we've had issues in some of these other elections, Texas and elsewhere. You're correct. But there's also good news out there too. You don't got to paint it out like the doomers. Oh, my God, we're going to get... Listen, I hope we don't get smoked in the midterms. And I am here from this point on to make sure that we show up. But don't be a doomer about it too. Here's the best cut of the day. President Trump was on the show on Monday. We were talking about our experience with national security and crime working for this transformative president. But he's talking about this PR crisis and stuff too, how the media environment is now so fast, it's hard to keep up. Bad news takes over. It's hard to get good news through all the noise because he's a signal-oriented guy. Here he is in this clip talking about the crime rate and the border. I'm telling you, these are things, if it was a Democrat president, they'd be sharpening the chisels for Mount Rushmore right now. If this guy's got historic lows in crime, this president, a controlled border for the first time in decades. And it's like the media doesn't even want to talk about it. Check out President Trump on this.
We allowed in our country, I say 25 million people with an open border policy for 4 years under Biden and that group, the auto pen group, I call them. We allowed to come into our country people, the likes of which no country would accept. And we're getting them out. Yeah. But we've gotten a lot of them out. So crime now in Minnesota, crime now in Minneapolis is down. Crime in all cities is down. And you know why it's down? It's down because of us. It's down in Chicago by 25%, despite the fact that we are always dealing with these people, and they happen to be Democrats.
Right. Speaking of
that don't know anything about crime prevention.
Thank you, Linda Tropiano in the chat. Loving the show, Dan. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I love doing the show. I really miss it. He's right. Signal, folks. Signal. Don't get lost in the noise. I told you. The doomers, the zeros, and the lib media all have the same goal. To quell your enthusiasm for the midterms, to get you to not show up so they can get their people in there to impeach Donald Trump again. And we have 2 years of more bullshit. Another Ukraine impeachment hoax, another Russia hoax. That is all they want. I am not telling you not to demand results. He just gave you the results. You should demand results. You take a taxpayer-funded job, you work for the taxpayer. But listen to him at least. Let him get the signal out there so you can judge the results for yourself, not the doomer stuff, or else we are going to lose. And it's going to result in some severe chaos for our country going forward. Haley's coming up at noon, live, rumble.com/Haley, Hayley. Don't forget to check out the show. And again, I try not to, Vince is always on at 8 a.m. too, rumble.com/Vince. Folks, I try not to ask too much, but it is our first week back. You know, we've been gone a long time, and the audience has been just incredible. The Bongino Army, you guys are amazing. The stream numbers are through the roof. You far surpassed my expectations. I so deeply appreciate it. Couple favors. If you go to rumble.com/Bongino, click that follow, subscribe button. It is free. You can get notifications for the show. We go live every day at 10 a.m. Of course, if you want to watch on demand anytime afternoon, you can just go to rumble.com/Bongino. We always pin the latest episode at the top. And I'm really proud being a part of Rumble to announce the launch of Rumble Shorts. It is a free speech TikTok and elsewhere with short videos. You'll see the Shorts tab on my Rumble home screen, rumble.com/Bongino. They're 30 to 60 second videos you'll see out there. The apps are coming soon for Rumble Shorts. We launched, just a couple days ago on Rumble Shorts, and most of the videos there have between 10 and 100,000 views already on Rumble Shorts. So great job by the Rumble team launching short videos. Some people like to consume it in short, like munchkins instead of donuts kind of thing. So Rumble Shorts, check it out. You'll see my Shorts tab. You can watch the videos right there. We appreciate you blowing up all my Rumble Shorts. And also give us a follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Keep us on the top charts. We really appreciate it. Stay tuned for Haley at 12 noon. I will see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you. At 10 a.m. Eastern time. See you tomorrow.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania,
Host of Vince.
host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here
on the Bongino Report channel.
live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Noon weekdays. And if you miss it, no worries. The show will always be
Right
here
here
and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.